The piece you just heard is called Extroverted Introvert, and it's composed by myself and performed by the instrumental rock group I play in, Meeting of the Spirits. This brings us to the drum set component of this DVD, and before we go any further, I just want to mention that for complete drum set study, I strongly recommend you take a look at all the other methods out there. There's a tremendous amount of methods out there. For other DVDs, I'd personally recommend DVDs by Tommy Igoe, Jojo Mayer, Thomas Lang, Todd Zuckerman, and Marco Miniman. These extensive methods for drum set study reflect top professionals in the field who have had prolific, successful careers. Despite the tremendous amount of great resources available for this instrument, I'd like to take a moment to discuss some things here that I feel are relevant in the context of this whole DVD. The first thing I want to talk about is approaching the drum set as a composed instrument in the context of progressive rock. And I can speak for myself in that I approach the drum set, especially in a rock atmosphere, almost kind of like an orchestral percussionist. And I prefer to use a larger setup for almost all the styles of music I play, because just like being an orchestral percussionist, I want to have a large variety of sounds available to me. Different sound colors, different things that will work for balance with other instruments. And also, I have 5 tom-toms here in this setup, because that helps me play melodically, and also have some different options for fills. So one thing that I like to do when I approach playing in a rock group is I like to actually sit down and get some manuscript paper out and orchestrate passages that work smoothly with guitar, for example, or the vocal line, or other melodic lines, and also grooves. I prefer, just like a composer or an orchestral musician, to really pre-plan exactly how I'm playing a groove sometimes, with some wiggle room for improvisation. So I'll sit down and I'll come up with a couple variations and I'll write them out if I'm preparing for a session or a gig or a Broadway musical, for example. Other examples of this would be choosing the right cymbal for the chorus, or when are you going to go to the hi-hat? If you're going to use the hi-hat for the verse, or you're going to use the cymbal for the chorus, or maybe even vice versa. Are you going to use the bell? Are you going to accent your eighths? Are you going to keep them even? These are all things I think about and pre-plan a lot when I know I'm getting ready for a particular engagement on the kit. So like I'm saying, I approach the instrument more like an orchestral player, I suppose, at times when I'm playing rock. You can really get very artistic and detail-oriented when preparing a drum track, especially for a recording session, by making choices about which fills work best and which fills provide good transitions into the next section, and deliberately practicing them like you would an orchestral excerpt, for example, to make sure you're as prepared as possible. So the approach I'm describing at times is regarded as kind of stiff by some jazz musicians. However, I find it to be a very detailed, professional, and prepared approach. It seems very illogical to constrict this amazing instrument to a purely improvisational realm. But with that said, it's still very healthy for drum set players to be able to improvise and groove without preparation, just by using your ears and by sitting down at any kit, whether it's a house kit or your kit that you're comfortable with. That's kind of a basic skill that I want to make sure is in place. So in the beginning of the DVD, I talked about chamber music skills and small group playing. And as a rock drummer or playing jazz or anything really, I try to take the skills that I have from being a chamber musician in a classical setting or an orchestral musician and bring them to my progressive rock group. So I try to listen as intently and as deeply, as sensitively as I possibly can, just as if I was playing a percussion quartet and percussion ensemble in a formal recital. When I'm behind the drum set, I'm trying to make sure that I'm establishing very clear time, groove, and dynamic balance. I'm listening to the bass player, I'm listening to the lead singer, and also I'm trying not to overplay, which is the constant challenge of a good drummer, is to find the balance between having physical energy, being in the moment, improvising, but not overplaying. So open up your ears and make sure that you're not covering up a solo or covering up a vocal line, and make sure that what you're playing isn't interfering with the natural momentum of the song, the natural flow of the song, and achieving a good ebb and flow between verse and chorus, for example. So like I said earlier about some of the other pieces, it's really important to record yourself when you're practicing drum set and when you're rehearsing too. I like to make sure to record myself when I'm practicing grooves and fills, and also record rehearsals where I'm going to be playing. So that way I can evaluate really critically if what I'm playing or what feels right for me is really working. And sometimes I surprise myself. Sometimes I make a decision to do a different ride cymbal pattern because of something I hear in the recording. If it seems to be dragging the feel, or if it's not locking in with what the bass player is playing or something. So record yourself. That's really important. Okay, so now I'm going to show you some examples from the piece that we just performed. There's a very kind of bizarre, interesting section in the piece that you just heard where I played a really elaborate figure on the toms with a double bass drum figuration, and it worked with the guitar and the flute line. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying about the drum set being a composed instrument in the context of progressive rock. So with this example, I composed the guitar and flute lines, very elaborate arpeggios and scales, and the contour of the pitches with the toms follows that exactly, almost exactly. So an example of what I was mentioning before, and here I'm going to demonstrate this for you a couple different ways. I'm going to go ahead and play it kind of a scaled down version. What I play in the piece and the performance is 30-second notes broken up between my hands and my feet with the following pattern. Right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot, played very fast as 30-second notes. So I'll just demonstrate that very slow just to give you an idea of what it is. So I'm using all four of my limbs alternating to create a very fast 30-second note. So that a little bit faster sounds like this. A little bit faster. So the whole figuration is based on that inner limb coordination pattern that I practiced independently. So first of all, I'm going to play a scaled down version of the part. I'm just going to play the hands. So it's just going to be 16th notes for a while. And if you listen to the 16th notes, it follows a melodic contour around the drums. Okay, and that's what fits with the guitar and flute line. So I'll demonstrate that slow, just with the hands, 16th notes first. Here we go. Okay, so that was under tempo, and I was just using the hands. So faster, just with the hands. Again, try to listen to the melodic contour of what I'm playing on the 5 tom-toms here. A little faster. Here we go. Okay, so those were 16th notes. There's some mixed meter in there. There's some mixed 16th note meter, as you heard. And now I'm going to add the bass drum in between every note to create 30-second notes using the inner limb coordination pattern I just demonstrated earlier. So here we go.